got the word that the man of God is present. And so without further ado, Boston, help me to receive to this rostrum our beloved leader, the man of God on scene, the boldest, baddest black man, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. As I greet you in peace, Assalamu alaikum. All praises are due to Allah. Let's go, Boston, give it up. Let's go, Boston, give it up. Show your love. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Takbir. 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 Praise be to Allah. Please be seated.
We love you, Farrakhan. Yeah.
Thank you. I love you too. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, the Lord of all the worlds, we thank Him over and over again for His intervention in the affairs of human beings, that whenever we lose His favor by going contrary to His straight path, before He punishes, He always raises from among the people a prophet or a messenger to whom He gives what is called divine revelation by means of Scripture to guide the people back to His favor. Yes, sir. And guide the people, of course, back to His straight path. Such a man was Abraham, such a man was Moses, such a man was Jesus, such a man was Muhammad ibn Abdullah. These are worthy servants of God whose names will always have honorable mention down through the generations, because they didn't live their lives for vanity, self-serving purposes. They lived their lives for the betterment of people. And when you live your life only for yourself, then you're already dead. You're just waiting for the time to return us to the earth. But when you live your life to serve others, to make life better for others, to improve the condition of the world that we came into, that when we leave it in a better state. Those are the people whose names live. Though physically they are dead, they are honored down through the generations for the sacrifices that they made. Such men and women are those who are our ancestors in the struggle for liberation, since our fathers set the soles of their feet in the Western Hemisphere as slaves.
Yes, sir.
Always among us there were men and women who fought to make life better for the rest of us. Always among the native people there were those who gave their lives to improve the quality of life of their tribes, their nation, their people. So today we remember Geronimo. We remember Sitting Bull. Right. We remember Marcus Garvey. We remember Nat Turner. We remember Martin King. We remember Malcolm X. We remember the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We remember all of those on whose shoulders we stand today, as we should. But now this is our time. We are yet alive. And Jesus said it best. I didn't come into the world to be ministered unto. I came into the world to minister to others. So he said, he who would be chief among you, let him be your servant. The enemy tried to and was successful in destroying in us that quality of love that makes us desire to serve one another. Excuse me. The reason we're in the condition that we're in is because living under an enemy whose purpose was to render us an unthinking, uncaring people that would be perpetual slaves or servants to him and his people and his cause to build his world. All right. While we never did that for ourselves. That's right. And every time after slavery, we built a town. In fact, we built 60 towns after slavery, but not one exists today because the enemy never wants to see the slave really free. So I'm honored to be here in Boston with my brother and minister, Brother Minister Don, and his dear wife, Sister Shirley. Let us give Sister Shirley a wonderful round of applause. Thank you. Because there wouldn't be a great Minister Don if there wasn't a great Sister Shirley. That's right. God made woman for man. And God made man for himself. You didn't hear me. When God creates a creature, he gives it a nature that justifies its existence when it behaves as the Creator created it to be. You don't justify your existence by being other than who you are. You justify being here by learning and being yourself. Every creature that God created, he gives it an aim and a purpose that's not written in a book. It's written in the nature of that creature. You and I are the supreme creatures of God. Nothing greater than the Homo sapien or man. And whether you want to believe it or not, there would be no mankind if there were no original man. And original man is you. White people are Johnny-come-latelys on our planet. I'm not making mockery. They were given a purpose, and they have fulfilled it. Have you noticed in nature? Everything in nature has a natural enemy. Do you like your little bird in the cage? Don't let it around the cat. As you love your bird, you know the cat is always scheming to get to the bird. The cat is always scheming to get to the mouse. And even though you may have a dog and a cat in your house, you would have to train them from little to accept each other. But by nature, they're not like that. Who is your enemy?
All right.
Who is the natural enemy of the original man? Think about it. If everything in nature has an enemy, God has one too.
That's right.
Who's the enemy of God? I didn't hear you. What? That's right. But God, aren't you the creator of everything?
Come on.
You mean you created an enemy for yourself? What's the yin and the yang in the human being? Everything in nature has an opposite side. So the black man being the original man, you have a natural enemy. Just like God has a natural enemy in Satan who is always working against God's purpose for man. Can I give you a picture from the Holy Quran? Yes, sir. Did you know sometimes that God and Satan have talks together? It's like Ronald Reagan talking with Russia. And they tell you, well, the president is visiting Russia and meeting with Gorbachev or Putin, and you don't even get excited. Say, I wonder what they're talking about. All of them are looking for control, mastery of the planet. So when they talk, they're always jockeying for position. Well, in the Quran, Satan is having a talk with God. And God has already judged him to be of those who are erring from his straight path. So Satan is upset. And he says, well, because you have judged me as being in error and made me disappointed, respite me, delay my doom till the day when they are raised. What do you mean they are raised? Two things can't occupy the same place at the same time. If the enemy is up, the people of God are down. So God and Satan are talking about the future. And Satan is telling God, well, I know you're going to judge me and destroy me at some point in time. And all of you who read Bible or Quran or whatever scripture you read or believe in, there's an ultimate battle that is going to take place between God and Satan. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So both of them are busy. And Satan is telling God, well, because you judged me as erring, caused me to remain disappointed that I'm not going to stay around here forever like your people. I'm going to lie in wait for them right in your straight path. And I'm going to cause all of them to deviate. And God replies, whosoever follows you, I will certainly fill hell with you all. So Satan is always looking for followers. But he wants to take followers out of the path of God. That's heavy business. So when you think you're worshiping God, you better check it.
That's right.
Because you might be a Satan worshiper unaware. Now wait now. Just listen, man. I'm coming after them in your straight path. I'm going to come at them from before them, from behind them, from their left side, from their right side, and I'm going to get them all to deviate. Do you know what deviation is? It's breaking from a natural and straight course. So if as Muslims we say, oh Allah, guide us to your straight path, where once you are on the straight path, you are to be victimized by a smart, crooked deceiver who's going to come at you in the path of truth, in the path of righteousness, in the path of God, in the way of religion.
That's right. Go ahead.
I'm coming right at you. This is Satan talking. And I am going to make all deviate. The Quran says Satan is so clever, he's going to make evil fair seeming. Now that's deception at the highest. When somebody can do something evil and make you think it's all right and make you a defender of what is all wrong, using the power of your being to defend what is indefensible. This legal system is a mess. I'm a lawyer, not that I am, but you could argue. A lawyer that passes the bar is sworn to give an adequate defense to his client, whether the client is innocent or guilty. Dang, I've killed somebody. I got to get lawyered up now. Liared up is a better term. Now, I done hired a lawyer. He said, well, Farrakhan, did you do it? Well, you know, I mean, it wasn't my fault. But yeah, I did it. But tell me the circumstances of it. Well, you know, we got into an argument, and You know, I mean, I got overheated, and what was the argument about? Well, the man was looking at my woman, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And I reached for my pistol, and I got him.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now we've got to figure out what is the best defense for you. So I'm going to set up a series of lies to make your act of murder justified, and then I'm going to sell it to a jury, supposedly of your peers, but the cost is going to be pretty high. We start off, you know, my fee is about $500 an hour, and this is going to take a little time to get you off of this, but remember, this is murder. You may be going away for life, so you want your lawyer to put up the best defense. And the best defense for wrong are a series of lies and circumstances that can deceive the jury into coming back with a verdict, not guilty. See, in the system of God, when you're wrong, I can't defend you.
Right.
That's right. That's right.
If you're wrong, what is the defense for wrong? Well, the only thing that's a defense for wrong is there a mitigating circumstance that will limit the punishment for what you did. But if you're wrong with God, you're wrong.
That's it.
So when God delivers his judgment, he wrongs no one. In our reading of the Quran during the month of Ramadan, we read where Allah, punishes so many nations, and he always says he's just. But sometimes we don't understand his judgment.
Right.
Because he's so much wiser, naturally, than we are, and he would kill a lot of us just by making a judgment that we disagreed with. Let me give you an example. Three men came to visit Abraham, and one of them was the Lord. I'm going to say it again. Three men came to visit Abraham. This is Bible. In the plains of Mamre, in the 18th chapter of Genesis, and one of them was the Lord. In the Quran, it's three angels. Abraham saw them. They were not spooks. They weren't, they were transparent, all right. But they were frightening looking individuals because Abraham wanted to know their purpose, Sarah, she's in the back somewhere. Bring some food. The Lord eats.
Right.
Bring something for the Lord to sit down.
Come on now.
He's a little tired from the journey.
Yeah.
So the foolish say, well, hell, this can't be God. He eats.
Right.
Well, what the heck do you think God should do if he's real? He has eyes,
Come on now.
so he sees.
Right.
He has ears, so he hears.
Yeah.
The Bible said his arm is not too short, that it cannot save. So he got arms. On his thigh was written a name. And the Quran. Abraham told God that he really wanted to know their purpose for this great visit. And the angel spoke to Abraham and said, well, we have an assignment and we're on our way to Sodom and Gomorrah. And Lot was the nephew of Abraham. So he's informing the uncle of what they're about to do to Sodom and Gomorrah. Say, well, God is delivering a judgment now against Sodom. Now listen to God's judgment. First he says, what are you doing? Men coming to men with lust in their heart as they should a female. Then the God says, I abhor what you doing.
Right.
What do you mean abhor? He hates it. He hates to see a man kissing and having sex with another man. Now wait. I don't want you to take it personal. If that's what you're doing. I'm not against you. I'm just talking about Scripture and what God said he hates. That's all.
Go ahead, man.
Because God created man to have a natural attraction to the female. Now wait. He made you in such a way that your body attracts a man. That's how procreation begins, with attraction. Well, hell, if you got as many muscles and whatnot as a man, maybe he might want to find another man or something. I know you in the gym and you working out and I gotta have this kind of backside or this kind of, oh, sorry. That's why there's always been another generation coming.
Yes, sir.
People live, people die, they procreate, and humanity continues over millions of years because of the nature of God and the way he set this up. And it don't fail. The woman is the natural complement to what's in the man.
Come on, go ahead, black man.
And the man is the natural complement of what's in a woman.
Yes, sir. That's right.
A woman, according to the Quran, Bible too, she's created as a consoling agent for a man that's doing what God asked him to do.
Yes, sir.
Adam, yes. Multiply. Oh, okay, I'm going to do that. Replenish the earth. Subdue it. Uh-oh.
Go ahead.
That's my command. As a man, you're supposed to be a producer.
That's right. That's right.
The word multiply don't mean just have babies. The word multiply says you are a multiplier. The universe is the multiplican. And when you tap into this universe, you can extract from it whatever you need to fulfill your purpose in life. But you have to tap into that and you become a producer. Wait a minute. Listen. Producing is hard work. You believe that?
Yes, sir.
Some of you may be musical producers. That's hard. Because you have to gather people, put them together, make something out of nothing. That's a producer. All men are born by nature to be productive. And he's keeping me aware of the time, so I won't overstay my time.
Much as you want to, sir. Much as you want to.
A producer, when he's had a long, hard day of producing, you didn't hear me.
Come on, big play, brother minister. Go ahead.
Not a long, hard day of doing nothing.
That's right. That's right.
Coming home expecting comfort. You don't deserve comfort for doing nothing. You didn't hear me. You're not working. You're not producing. You don't need a woman. Because now you're becoming a pimp.
Right. Talk to us.
That's hard language.
Go ahead.
I know you may not like it, but you can't disprove it.
That's right. Teach it.
When you don't produce, you're living with a woman that is producing. You the little boy in the house then.
That's right. Talk.
And she don't need you for sex.
That's right.
They make little toys for that. So hell, I'm sorry. If you're not producing, she has nothing to do for you. Baby, cook me a little meal. She's mad as all get out because who want to cook for somebody that's going to eat but won't work?
That's right.
That's right.
Talk to us.
That's right.
See, the white man have us all upset with each other
Right.
because the man don't have a job, and the white man see to that. There was a time in Boston when I was a little fella. In the morning, I would see the men who were in the house with their wives, with a pail in their hand, with a little lunch in the pail, going out to work because there were factories all around the inner cities that allowed us to work and bring home something to make a home for our families. Today, if 70% of homes with children in it are run by females and no man is present, what kind of condition is that? I attended a graduation of my great-grandchild from college, and 92% of those that graduated from the University of Illinois were females. Women wanted to be engineers, women wanted to be doctors, women wanted to be lawyers, women reaching for the heights in this world. Where is she going to find an appropriate companion? And if a man can't match you in intelligence, oh, you didn't hear me. And I have to tell you, brothers, I had never met a dumb woman.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
When it comes to man.
That's right.
Women are very cagey and smart and wise when it comes to dealing with men. And that's why men seem to have it want it simple, you know, fall in love with another man who don't make natural demands on you.
Teach us. Go ahead.
But if you're going to fall in love with a woman, brother, we're going to have to bring it.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, at first it might be easy, you know, smile and good morning, sweetheart. She bypassed the bad breath and all of that. Give you a little something to eat. And maybe even comfort and console you with what God has given her as a consoling feature of her being. But after a while, she's very tired of being used to give comfort and consolation to a man who refuses to work to help feed the babies that he produces. Well, I didn't expect to hear that. You know, I come down here and let me see, I'm going. I missed my church service this morning, and I come over to hear this Farrakhan, and he talking about. But this is the kind of teaching we need. Because if a man finds it easy to take pleasure from a woman that he is not serving to complete her make, then that man is a cheater.
All right.
And the Quran says, woe to the cheaters.
That's right. All right.
Who when they take in full. But when they give less than what is required. Somebody has interfered with the natural way that God wanted us to relate to each other. He never made us to be enemies. Women enemy of man, man enemy of woman. But there is a natural enemy. Now, let's tie this up. Every creature that God created, the first thing that must happen is it must free itself or be freed from the womb that bore it to pursue its course in life. So there is no life without freedom. Freedom is the essence of life itself. Because the creature that is freed from the womb now has a chance to justify its existence by being what God created it to be. Then that creature that justifies its existence is equal. Though it be a bird, though it be a flea, though it be a fly, though it be a butterfly, though it be a lion or a tiger, it's equal to the sun.
Go ahead.
That gives life to all.
Yes, sir.
Because the sun is doing what God created it to do.
Go ahead.
And the bee and the ant is doing what God created it to do.
Go ahead.
But somebody came among us.
That's right. That's right.
There's a new world opening up called the New World, the Western world. White folk came out of Europe after being confined there for nearly 1,000 years. And they discovered, but people were already here. So they not only discovered land, they discovered people who were the natural owners of the land. In order for them to be on this land, they had to get rid of the natural owner of the land.
Right.
It's my native family.
Yes.
So there's always been a conspiracy
Right.
against the original people of anywhere in the earth where they went. Because they were not natural in any part of our planet.
That's right. That's right.
So in order to gain access to that land, they had to supplant the natural owner, the natural ruler, the natural people of their natural habitat. And replace them with themselves.
Yes, sir.
Is that a friend?
No, sir.
It's a natural enemy. Only an enemy of God would deprive another human being of what God intended for that human being to have. Now, we are above the beasts of the field. We are human beings.
Yeah.
So as a human, you have a right to knowledge. Because it is only the possessing of knowledge that separates man from beast. Would you agree?
Yes, sir.
So human rights demands that every human have access to knowledge. Okay, what was our condition? Did we have access to knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Did they deny us
Yes, they did.
the human right to know?
Yes, sir.
Come on.
Yes, sir.
How long have we labored in slavery not learning how to read or to write? Over 300 years.
That's right.
Would a friend do that to us? You know, when I went to my great-grandson's graduation, it was a black graduation. I had never heard of such. I said, whoa, what is this? No white folks. It was separate.
Wow.
The big graduation was the next day, but the blacks had their graduation the night before.
Wow. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I have a son in Phoenix. I went to his graduation from the University, Arizona State, and he had a black graduation. I said, what is this? And the big graduation was the next day where the whites, the blacks, the Asians. Oh. I said, why is that? They never are able to shut us up. When it come graduation time,
Right.
and you got a baby that's graduating,
Yes, sir. Showing up.
and they tell you, hold your applause. until everybody is finished. What do you say? You may be listening to white folks telling you that, but when that baby of yours walk across that stage, we start hollering. The child go to acting up. And I asked myself, why is that? I said, white people can be so nonchalant about it. Oh, there's my Johnny. Not us. Why is that? When I was living in Boston, I went in the 7th grade to Boston Public Latin School. And when we opened the book on Boston Public Latin, it's the oldest school in America. In 1635, Harvard was the next year, 1636. What were you doing in 1635? We were chopping cotton, baby. We were picking tobacco. We was on a plantation, getting whooped for not producing enough cotton while white folk were graduating. Did you hear me? So they've been graduating for hundreds of years, and now at last we got a chance to walk across a stage with a BS degree. Oh, we gonna raise hell this day. We're happy because somebody in our family finally made it across the stage. They don't understand that. Two different people. Any of you in the music business? Those of you in the music business, you can write a song and you can be an artist, but somebody else controls the distribution of your product. You don't own the radio station, so you got to either pay some money to your own brother who is a DJ to play your song. There's no more record companies, not record companies, but record stores. Very few.
Right.
And when I was in the music business, I had song that was on the Calypso hit parade, but it was the man that signed me to the label that determined what kind of royalties I got. I didn't see his books. That was not my business. Nigga sing. Nigga dance. And I'll tell you what you made. How are we to survive in a world where a natural enemy is the doorway to any progress that we make? We have to move him.
That's right.
Did you want to vote? Did you deserve the right to vote? Yes, you did, if you're called a citizen. Now, they didn't ask us whether we wanted to be. Some of us might have had a different opinion. but we were made citizens. And the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments of the Constitution guaranteed us citizenship and protection and all of that. And that was a trick. Would a friend trick you like that?
No, sir.
Is an enemy who makes you think you have something of value and you find out it's worthless? How did the enemy get Manhattan? We were fascinated with trinkets. He knew better. He wasn't going to give a fair bargain, but if you like the trinket, I'll give you a lot of that. Just sign this over. Well, they were going to take it anyway. That's a friend? No. Do you have a hunger and a thirst to know God?
Yes, sir.
A hunger and a thirst for someone to treat you right?
Yes, sir.
So the master was a Christian, while Kunta Kinte, he was a Muslim.
Right, right.
I went to the village of Jufre,
Yes, sir.
where my brother who wrote Roots, Alex Haley, his ancestors were from. He interviewed Brother Malcolm. He interviewed Elijah Muhammad. And they told him that your original fathers were Muslims. He wrote it down. But when I became the minister, after Malcolm left the nation in New York, Alex Haley wrote me. And he said, Farrakhan, Elijah Muhammad, and Malcolm X were right, because I researched my ancestry, and my original ancestors were Muslims. So in the new rendition of Roots, I don't know whether you saw it. Did any of you see the new rendition?
Yes, sir.
It starts off, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Right.
God is great. To show you the Muslim way of praying. You may not have recognized it, but they put the truth in it this time. And the reason he took such a beating was because the white man had authority in his own mind to name us. Because you have the right to name what you own. He said, my name is Kunta Kinte. Lash him. Like Ali when he was whooping
Yes, sir.
those that refused to call him by his Muslim name. He said, what's my name? And he whooped him some. And after he whooped him some, he asked him again, what's my name? And if they didn't say it, he whooped him some more. Well, that's exactly what the white folk did to Kunta Kinte. We were beaten to accept their name of us. Toby don't equal Kunta Kinte. Toby. Now look at the names that you wear. Now wait a minute, Farrakhan, you're getting kind of personal.
Bring it home.
I'm not trying to be upsetting, But the white man treats you like this, treats us like this, because he sees us as his property. What name did you go in? Whenever you signed your name to any document, you didn't sign your name because you don't know it. You signed the name of the last slave master of your ancestor. Mr. Wilson, Mr. Jones, Miss Johnson, Miss Brown, Miss White, Miss Culpepper, Miss Whitaker. Oh, yes. Those are not your names. You don't have names that don't have meaning. African people have names that have meaning. And the best names of all are the 99 attributes of God himself. So when Ali accepted the name from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad Ali, that's what launched him throughout the world. Because the most popular name in the world among people of color is Muhammad. But of course, in the Western world, it's John. So Johnny, Sally, those are not your names. That's why you say, I like that Malcolm. Malcolm who? Oh. Who named him X? Elijah Muhammad. His name was Malcolm Little. Little wasn't his name. That was the name of the last slave master that owned his great-grandfather, Little. Don't you think if we're free, shouldn't we be free enough to take a name that connects us to God or to our own African people?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember the comedy, the sitcom, Different Strokes?
Yes, sir.
Who was the two brothers that were stars in that? There you go. Now, I met Todd as a grown man in the home of Jim Brown, the great football player out in California. And Todd told me, listen to the words, that he was going to change his name while he was on that show. He was going to take an African name. He was visited, he said, by the FBI. Wait, did you hear me? I'm going to say it again. He was visited by the FBI, who told him if he did that, the type of punishment would come to him. Because if Todd used his fame to show you the road to freedom starts with your right to name yourself. The road to freedom. When Africa started getting her independence, she wasn't Rhodesia no more. She took a name that was an African name that they had before the white man came.
Go ahead.
Is this the action of a friend? A friendly government? That's your enemy. How many of us have somebody in our family that are presently incarcerated? May I see your hands, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Now, in the 13th Amendment, you're a citizen. As long as you don't commit a crime, because if you commit a crime that's a felony, they have the right to put you back in slavery again. Go read the 13th Amendment for yourself. Now, how many of our young people that are in prison went there for the sale or possession of a small amount of drugs? Many? Most? All right. So if they search you and you have a blunt, I guess that's what they call it today. I've been out of the business for a long time. And this reefer, which I used to buy in Boston for 50 cents. Now, you know that's a long time ago when you can buy a joint for 50 cents. Now, all you had to do is have that in your pocket. And sometimes they'll put it in there. And we go to prison. And what do you do in prison? You work for Motorola. You work for Fortune 500 companies for next to nothing. When you finish doing your time and come out, do you think you can go to Motorola and get a job paying the legitimate wages? No, they got yours for free. So the whole objective is to turn you back there again. How much recidivism goes on? So again, our people in prison are slaves. And they justify it by falsely accusing us of a crime. Would a friend do that? Would a friend conspire, as in Ferguson, Missouri, to stop people in their cars, charge them with something light that they're not guilty of, extract fines from them, put them in jail, and the fines support city government? That's not just going on in Ferguson. That's Boston. That's New York. That's Hartford, Connecticut, Springfield, Massachusetts, Worcester, Massachusetts, Providence, Rhode Island. You are the victim in every society. You have a natural, open enemy. Now, Farrakhan, see, that's kind of hard, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm in love. And I got a beautiful white girl. And she really loves me. She treats me so good. I needed a loan. And she had the money, and she freely gave it to me. And now I'm in business. She's my partner. Is that my real friend? Could be. But Samson fell in love with Delilah. And Delilah became powerful because she found the secret of his strength. The white woman could be your friend. I'm not saying she is or isn't. But when you don't have the knowledge of yourself and you don't have the knowledge of them, you don't have a proper yardstick to measure a friend or an enemy, because you have chosen your enemies as your friends. I'm not on the fast of Ramadan in the sense of not drinking water because of my physical condition.
Yes, sir.
And my mouth is a little dry, and I would like to take a sip of water, but I will not do it in the presence of those who are fasting unless I get your permission. Thank you. Now, brothers and sisters, I want to close this lecture. You are doing things that the enemy has made fair seeming. Your nature teaches you right from wrong. It is not right that we should condone what God condemns.
That's right.
So if God hates what the Sodomites were practicing and they were destroyed because of it, how could I, as a preacher, following Joe Biden and Obama, put my blessing on something that God has not blessed? Then evil has been made fair seeming to me. I do not think anybody has the right to kill people who are homosexual or lesbian or transgender. They have chosen a path. They say they're born that way. My teacher taught me. He said, leave them alone. Allah has something for them. Now you might think that may be death. Not necessarily so. They are victims of scientific management of their sexuality without their even knowing it. Have you seen these ads on TV? Be careful. One of the side effects of this drug, talking to men, you may develop breasts. One of the side effects of this drug is it gives you suicidal thoughts. So you don't know whether to keep with your disease or take what they're giving you as a cure. All of it is chemistry. And the enemy is a master scientist of chemistry. So you're looking at how you eat. You don't know what's in your food. They're so creative in the process of death that you are eating foods from seeds that cannot reproduce. And you wonder why your sperm count is going down. You wonder why, as a young person, you have an erectile dysfunction. But here's a chemical. Take this Cialis, and of course, if it lasts longer than 4 hours, check. Because you're a 5-minute man, so if and you know, learning should be fun. Preaching is a joy to me, transferring knowledge. And if I use something in a comical kind of way, it's not that it's funny, but it lightens the heavy load of the knowledge that you're carrying. So look, these scientists of death have taken us away from natural foods. And now look at us. When I was a young boy, growing up in Boston, cancer was a Caucasian disease. 60 years later, black people lead in every area of cancer. Am I right? Yes, sir. Your health has been compromised by the food that you eat. You love McDonald's. I'm loving it. And you don't know whether you're really eating a burger or eating science. That they can make something like leather taste like meat, smell like meat. I saw on YouTube, you need to check this out. Lettuce that they make. Put a little green stuff down and watch it grow, and it looks just like lettuce. They have meat that looks like meat, but it's not meat. Check it out for yourself. You're dealing with death itself. That's the enemy of life. That's the enemy of God. That's the enemy. An open enemy. So the Quran says, don't follow in the footsteps of Satan. So every time the Muslim prays, he says, Qul a'udhu billahi min shaitanir rajim. I seek refuge in Allah from the accursed Satan. Well, if Satan is accursed and driven away from God, why would you follow in his footsteps? He has made evil fair seeming to us. My dear sisters, you are so beautiful. Your form is so naturally enticing. God does not wish for you to show man your adornments. You know what an adornment is? It is something that makes what you're looking at more beautiful because you've adorned it with something. Your breast is an adornment. The shape of your buttocks is an adornment. So the Quran says, sisters, don't go striking your foot as you walk. Wow. When you do this, especially with those high heels that got you all bent over, you swear you 6 foot tall and you 5'6". You can't wait to get home and kick them shoes off and come on down to what's real. But sisters, when you walk and you make noise when you walk, that which naturally has form and beauty and motion attracts attention. So when you dress in something that does not cover your adornment, you open up in a man the worst in him. You say, well, the man ought to be able to handle it. He's not made by nature to handle you in your nakedness or near nakedness. Remember that song, Who Let the Dogs Out? And some of you are Q's and Omegas, you know. And I've been among the Omegas, and they're grown men, you know, professional. I said, "Dad, what is this?" Who let the dogs out? And sister, I have to tell you, anytime with your fine self that you uncover, you will discover the dog in a man. That man could be your father. That man could be your uncle or your brother or your grandfather. I have not met too many women that have not been abused in this life by some man whom they considered trustworthy. And when a woman is abused by a man that they trusted, they have a natural disinclination to trust a man again. For in their eyes, if a father will molest his daughter because of her magnificent beauty, her innocence, her real love and devotion to that father, and he doesn't understand how to handle the love and devotion of a daughter, then in our world you've committed a crime that is worthy of death. Because when you abuse a woman, you've almost killed her. And from that condition of abuse, only God can bring her back from that and give her a healthy relationship with a man. My sisters, the friend would not style you in clothes that bring the dog out of a man. God is he who is your best friend. God will not allow you to be harmed or hurt like that. So the Quran says, cover yourself. That's not limiting you as a woman. That's making man respect you, not for the beauty of your form or the beauty of your face, but he got to get acquainted with the beauty of your mind. Right. The last thing I wanted to say is the first thing I told Don I wanted to talk about. Was what is the role of the mosque going forward? Yes, sir. That's right. Let's talk about it. We are in a colonized state of existence. The black community is not a community. It's a colony. Go downtown and look at Chinatown. The Chinese control every aspect of what goes on in their part of town. They're separate and they're happy. You don't see them picketing. They ain't treating me right because I'm a yellow man. They're treating themselves right as a yellow man and making a way for themselves, and they're smarter now than the white man. So they're happy. You see police in Chinatown, but they look like the people they're policing. And if a white man is in there, he's serving and protecting. But in the black community, the police are not there to serve and protect, but to make sure that the savagery of our community does not spill out and upset the white community and the business community.
Right. Right.
We're a colony like the original colonies in the United States that were tied to a wicked king.
Yes, sir. That's right.
And here we are in a colonial status tied to downtown. Any pastors in the house, you always respond when the mayor calls.
Right. Right. Right.
Right.
And the mayor calls
Right.
because you are the controlling agent
Come on now.
in the colony
Come on.
of those who are colonized.
Yes, sir.
That's not an enviable position to be in a time of the awakening of the masses.
That's right.
I'm not trying to upset you. I want you to see
Go ahead.
that we are a colony.
Go ahead.
So whenever the white man wants to put something over the city fathers, they call the preachers.
That's right. That's what they do.
That's right.
And they call those of you who are aldermen or councilmen or politicians. You're in their system, but you don't know how to make their system work for your constituents.
Right. Right.
Because your constituents are not really yours.
That's right.
They are a part of the colony of the colonial master. You send your children to school. What kind of education are your children getting? They're getting a colonial education. So when you get your education, you come out, you're not trying to do something for yourself. You're trying to find a white person that will give you a job.
All right.
Now, I'm not against our women looking beautiful with extensions. But sisters, the Koreans have about 90,000 stores throughout America selling hair products. And you will find they're all in the black community because white folk don't need extensions. They do this all the time. And you about to break your neck trying. So my dear sisters, the money that you give them, you find if there's a black bank in our community, they won't put their money in our bank. They take their money and put it in their banks. So you can't get a loan even though the money that they got in their bank is from your community. So we got to break up the colonial status of the black community. I leave you with this. You can't make this community a decent place to live unless we control the education. The education is part of the trick. And if the education were right for us, we wouldn't lead in dropouts. It's not an appealing education because they're educating us, and the base idea of that education is white supremacy. You need an education that will make you love you, that will make you see what you have contributed to the onward march of civilization. You need an education that you can use to elevate yourself and your people. And we have scholars.
That's right.
I'm not talking about we Muslim. I'm talking about black people. We have scholars that can devise an educational system for us, but we have to have the control of the school board and tell them what kind of education we will receive.
Yes, sir.
Then every school in our community should be ours.
That's right. That's right.
And then we should dot the landscape with businesses
Yes.
that we put up.
Yes.
There's a lot of abandoned buildings in our community sitting around doing nothing. But we should take those buildings
Yes.
or buy them and then with a little money rehab them. Take our young men that don't have a trade and take the tradespeople and make our young people their apprentices and let them learn how to rehabilitate these buildings and then sell the buildings and build your own treasury to own the community where you live. And the reason now that in Grove Hall they're moving us out because you didn't own it. And if you did own it, they gave you a price that you couldn't refuse. And they moved you out. Wherever we live, we should make it ours.
That's right.
The 10,000 fearless,
Yes, sir. Yes.
we have to be the ones to stand in between the guns and the gangs. These are not bad youth. They're youth that have never been given a proper education and guidance and opportunity to make a better life. That's not for white people to do. That's for you and I to do. And I don't see any government being angry with us for wanting to take control of where we live.
Go ahead. That's right.
And if the government is angry with us for trying to control and own where we live, they have manifested as the enemy, and that demands complete separation in a state or territory of our own. Thank you for listening, and may Allah bless you. Assalamu alaikum. People, family, after hearing what you heard taught today, do you believe that what you heard taught is the truth and is good for us?
Yes, sir.
Do you?
Yes, sir.
Would you raise your hands if you believe it's true? Good, thank you. If you do believe it's true, don't you think it's time that we act on it?
Yes. Yes.
See, if we act on the truth, we're going to make change.
That's right.
I'm not asking you to join the mosque. If you wish to, you can. But all I want you to do is act on the truth that you heard, and let's make ourselves a better people. May Allah bless you. Thank you so much for listening to me. Thank you, Brother Don and Sister Shirley and the family for allowing me this privilege to talk to you today. I greet you again. Assalamu alaikum. I turn you back into the hands of Brother Randy, and he will dismiss you. Thank you.
Allahu Akbar. Let's give it up one more time for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Come on, show your love. Show your love, Boston. All praises due to Allah. All praises are due to Allah. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Did you enjoy yourselves today? Praise be to Allah. We was well fed. Is that right? Let's give it up one more time for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Well, we received our marching orders, and so let's move out. If you may be seated, we're going to go over a few brief announcements, and then we're going to close out with prayer. Again, we want to thank all those that are listening live. We have listeners right now in Hawaii, Honduras, Ethiopia, Alaska, Canada, Mexico, France, Germany, Ireland, the UK, Portugal, the US, the Netherlands, and England. All over the world listening to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Let's give them a warm round of applause. All praises be to Allah. All praises be to Allah. This is going out through the world, through our broadcast here, that you can catch and you can listen to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on farrakhanspeaks.com. You can continue to listen to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Now, brothers and sisters, again, we would like for you to continue to come out. You know, over 25 years ago, I made my first visit to the mosque, and it was on a day like this, where I heard that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was in town. And I just wanted to come to see him because I was listening on the radio and he was here live. I wanted to see him. And when I came, it was just like this. And I had a beautiful time, just like you had a beautiful time today. Did you have a beautiful time today? Yes, beautiful, is that right? Praise be to Allah. I wanted to know if the mosque was as good when he wasn't here. I want to know, would I come and find the same spirit of brotherhood and sisterhood and get that knowledge and that spirit that says love our people and do for self. So I came back the following week, and I'm still here 25 years later. All praises be to Allah. And so I would encourage you, if you like what you heard today, as I was saying in the opening, Minister Farrakhan is not an entertainer. He is a divine man of God. And he has given us concrete solutions to our problems. And so if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, then come on and let's be a part of the solution. Because if you're not a part of the solution, then guess what? You're a part of the problem. Is that right? So I want to invite you to come out. We have study groups here on Wednesday evenings. Doors open at 7:30 and we begin at 8 o'clock sharp for this next week. As we're in the month of Ramadan, we're actually starting at 7:30. So the doors open at 7 because we got to break fast at 8 after 8:30 for Ramadan. And then we have study groups on Fridays as well. We want to invite you to come out. We have our main lectures every Sunday. So next week, same black station, same black time. Come on out so that we can continue to go into the life-giving teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and we can work on what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has given us instructions to do. So brothers and sisters, at this time, I want to come forth, if we can come forth with charity. We got the wings filled up. We got brothers and sisters on each side. We got brothers and sisters downstairs. But if you loved what you heard, let's show our love and let's give as Allah has given us and fulfill one of the aspects of our religion, which is charity. So at this time, let us come forth with charity. Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Right up here, brother. Yes, sir. Now, so the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan asked, how many of y'all believe that what you heard is the truth and good for our people? Can I see those hands once again? That's right. All praises are due to Allah. Give yourselves a warm round of applause. Now, after hearing those words, is there anyone today that was inspired and moved and would like to accept your own and be yourself and help us in this city? Help us to help the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to go out there and get after our people. If there's anyone today that would like to accept their own and be themselves and be a part or registered member of the Nation of Islam, can you please raise your hand today? Anyone in the audience today, don't be shy, don't be bashful. There you go, stand up. Sisters in the back, please stand up. Anybody else? All praises are due to Allah. All praises are due to Allah. Anybody else? If there's anybody in the wings, anybody downstairs, anybody on the side that was inspired today by the words of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and would like to come on, I want to invite you on up. Sisters, come on up. On behalf of Minister Farrakhan, I would like to have the privilege and the pleasure of shaking your hand and welcoming you to the Nation of Islam. Let's give them a thunderous, warm round of applause. Come right on up.
Brothers and sisters, let's give him a round of applause. All praise is due to Allah for the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Anyone else would like to accept the life-giving teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad? Don't be bashful. Come on up. This is our day. This is our time. This is the time to rise, black men and women. Show your love for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Come on up and shake the hand of one of the student ministers of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to show that it's a new day in the old town. We are about to rise and make a difference in the lives of our people. One more time, give him a round of applause. All praises due to Allah. Anyone else? Going once, going twice. The devil's mad, and we're glad.
Go ahead. That's right.
That there's a soul that he can no longer have.
That's right.
All praises due to Allah.
Yes. Yes, all praises due to Allah. We so excited. Now, brothers and sisters, you know the final call is here. And I want to thank all of those that traveled with the minister, the final call. Let's give all those that came a warm round of applause, all of our guests. Praise be to Allah. Brother Fontaine.
Let's give hard-working Brother Fontaine from Chicago a round of applause.
Yes, sir.
And Brother Fontaine, can you say that slow one more time? Come on up, brother.
Yes, yes, yes.
I'm going to say it real slow. Firstly, we're very honored to be here in Boston, Massachusetts. Honored to be in your company. You are a beautiful group of black people. Today's message, dear brothers and sisters, and any other message from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is made available store.finalcall.com. Store.finalcall.com. You can call us toll free at any time.
That's right.
866-602-1230, extension 200. The numbers and addresses that I just mentioned are available in every edition of the greatest newspaper on earth, the Final Call newspaper, digital.finalcall.com. If you don't get the Final Call newspaper, I don't know what's wrong with you. Please subscribe, digital.finalcall.com. Thank you so very much. Assalamu alaikum.
All praise be to Allah. All praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah. Well, with that said, brothers and sisters, we were well fed. Is that right? Yes, right. At this time, we're going to close out, so I'm going to call Brother Student Minister Rodney Muhammad up to close us out with prayer. Let's bring him on with a warm round of applause. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Just before we have prayer, we have Minister Don Muhammad here, student minister. Let's give him a round of applause. He's not only... Minister Don, I know he don't want us to say this, but he has soldiered way before many of us were even born.
That's right.
You understand what I mean? So whenever we see a man like this, we have to honor and respect him and thank Almighty God, Allah, for him, a friend of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the struggle of black people. Let's give him another round of applause. Yes, sir.
You would hear what you're supposed to hear.
Yes, sir.
So I'm trying to help the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Yes, sir. That's a soldier in the army of the Lord. Is that right? And before we have prayer, I want to recognize Reverend Moore. Can you turn around? This man knew Minister Farrakhan at a young age.
That's right.
As a matter of fact, can I see that right quick?
I was at his wedding,
He was at his wedding. He's 90.
95.
95. And this is the wedding. Mother Khadijah, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. This brother, I know him. He has a sharp mind at 95 years old. And he's still kicking. You understand? Let's give him another round of applause. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. Now, brothers and sisters, if we can please be so kind to bow our heads and close our eyes and just follow me silently in your own special way. Closing prayer. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful, sole Master of this day of judgment in which we now live. Thee alone do I serve, and Thee alone do I beseech for Thy help. O Allah, guide me along the right path, the path of those upon whom Thou hast bestowed Thy favors, and not the path of those upon whom Thy wrath is brought down, nor of those who go astray after they had heard Thy teachings. Say he, Allah is one God. Allah is He upon whom nothing is independent, but upon whom we all depend. He begets, nor is He begotten, and there is none like Him. And I bear witness that none deserves to be served or worshipped besides Allah, who appeared in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. And I bear witness that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is indeed Thy last and most surely greatest apostle and exalted Christ. And I further bear witness that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is indeed Thy national representative. Let us all say, Amen. Brothers and sisters, wherever you go in peace. If you are attacked, you fight in the name of Almighty God, Allah, and you will be victorious. With that, we greet you with your black smiling faces and the greeting words of peace. And brothers, hug your brothers. Sister, hug your sisters. And husbands, hug your wives, and vice versa. And let's go into the world and let's raise Boston up for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and Minister Don Muhammad, the Nation of Islam. As I greet you in peace, Assalamu alaikum. You are dismissed.